Michael.
Morning.
You
Right.
Speak up. You've got the old
Got the mic. Mike's got the mic on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we are full attack again. Full intercooler package, all the pipe work, crossover, open cone filter with a Steinbauer, and yeah,
way, doesn't it?
on these ones it goes different because the fuse box is different. Yeah, and then also meth as well. So,
But as we can see, there's a. This is not the standard. The yellow one that we done from Jersey, which Mike done that one. There, if you guys and girls have watched the back of that one, the episodes on that, you'll get a better idea of what we're up to and what we're going to do on this one, because it's like Mike said, it's basically a mirror.
it's pretty much the same, other than that had a standard airbox which mounts here, sits on a rail back here, and then there's a couple clips at the front. This has obviously already got a different sort of crossover with a filter, which we're doing away with and replacing with ours. So it's all matches.
We might be just talking. So this one here, because Mike's, it's the first time you've seen one of these.
First one I've seen one of these, yeah.
First time Mike's seen it, so we said, what's this all about then? So this, viewers, is what was originally on my van as test. Not this particular one, and just this make. So when MSRT were doing the R-Spec vans, etc., they worked with Steinbauer and ITG make it, obviously you can see that. And this is what they were testing to see what it was like, and this is what I had on my van, and it works very well. It's okay for what it is. We've obviously changed it a bit and repositioned the air filter and so on, which you've seen. Watch the episode with the yellow one from Jersey, you'll see what I mean. But anyway, we'll explain all that as we go. But this is just like an introductory.
Yeah, quick intro.
Yeah,
it's pretty much, like we said, exactly the same as the yellow one, other than obviously what we're taking off slightly different. And we're back to the drawing board a little bit on the inside, because this has got two single seats. Now on the yellow one I had a twin seat, which I was able to mount the meth tank in the bottom of the seat.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that I can get it in under the single seat and it's fillable. I know I can get it in there.
Yeah.
It's whether it's going to be easy enough to fill it up with meth, because there's no point putting it in there if mate's got to take a seat out every time to try and fill it up, which is absolutely pointless.
So we can come up with some sort of fill-in funnel.
Yeah, some sort of setup, do something and see. It might be that I can mount it and the cap's quite near the back of the cradle that the seat sits on, and it's fairly easy, but we're not going to know until we get into it. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Yeah, we got there's only a couple of little extras that we're going to be fitting. He's asked us to fit a digital boost gauge, which Mike's going to do. We've got one come in for him, just so we can. Some people want that just so they can read the boost system and how to look at.
See what it's doing.
Snazzy. So yeah, so we're looking forward to doing this one. But yeah, it's quite involved. Like I said, especially in the Mac. So Mike will decide which way around he wants to do it. Yeah, we'll crack on with it. To let you know what's what as we go.
Keep you updated.
We will. So all we're going to do at the moment is just reverse them in. We'll probably have to switch ramps, Mike, when we sort of Mike's got a few little bits and pieces to check on it first. We always do a thorough check before we touch it with the diagnostics and drive it. And then we'll go from there, we'll switch ramps and put it on the so just do what I'm doing. And we'll crack on. So, plenty more to come on this one.
See you in a bit.
So let's swing down to here, look. So bumper's all off, as you can see, and there's the orange computer. Bits and pieces on there, the charge pipes, got two boxes of meth nozzle, the pressure, also the pipe, partly assembled that one because Mike's put it on, fill it up lightly, just to sort of test it on the van first before we do anything else. And then get the rest of the silicone hoses up. Then it's got Jubilee clips. Yeah. Eventually, that's just the rest of it.
Bits and bobs we took off.
There you are. So better off using this.
Well, we can actually compare the old intercooler to the new one now, size-wise. Look.
Yeah.
So you can see the difference.
Yeah, quite clearly. Look, you can, I mean, that's plastic end tanks. It's mass produced in it, whereas this one is custom made for us, or handmade by Pro Alloy. And quality second to none. Like doing it.
Yeah, really good.
We don't have any issues with them. We wouldn't use them. So
no
problem. So as you can see.
Yeah, so stripped all the pipework off regarding the intercooler and intake and stuff. Took the intercooler off. You got to take this panel down because Ford decided it'd be a good idea to bolt it through the top of it, so you can't actually get to it without taking the panel off. Whip that down, intercooler off, then you can put the panel up because the new intercooler fixes in the front of it rather than in through the top of it. Which we may have to modify. Yeah, sometimes they line up. They seem to be different. On the year of the van, these holes vary, the holes in it. So they sometimes, some we've had to re-drill, some have been absolutely fine. So then we can mount the intercooler and then we can start building the pipework. Up also on the top, there's like a foam cover on top of the engine, on top of the rocker cover that covers the injectors. I've took that off and fitted the wire and harness for the Steinbauer because once I've got the pipework back on for the intercooler and stuff, I can't get the foam cover off. So that's one of the first things I do is get in there, get that wire and harness fitted, unplugging all the injectors, plugging the new loom in, piggybacking them all. So that's all done and squared away and I haven't got to worry about it later on. I can just get on and fit the pipework in one hit and it's all done.
See a little bit of there, Mikey, can we?
Yeah, that's just the tag of that's obviously where it gets its feed from and its earth and stuff to power the box. And then there's quite a big plug that you can't see that plugs into the Steinbauer box.
And then the white wire there is the signal wire, so like that goes to the
throttle potentiometer. Yeah. So that one's got to be run in, but again, that can be run in the same way as the MEF wiring will be running because there's a controller for that will be inside. So most of the wiring will be inside for that, running through the dash, and then it will come back into the engine bay. The reason, obviously,
the main reason why Mike does it this way around is to get all this out of the way first, bumper off, all the hardware done, and then the MEF side of it is a lot of it is inside.
Yeah.
Some of it's under the bonnet, obviously the nozzle and the charge pipe and all that sort of stuff, but everything's done from.
This is the only bit we really need a ramp for, doing this bit. So I book the day out for the ramp, get this bit done. I can get the intercooler and stuff fitted and all the bumper back on in a day, and then going forward I can worry about wiring the Steinbauer and wiring the MEF later on. I don't actually need a ramp for that, so I can pretty much do that anywhere. Yeah, the Steinbauer and got all the wiring to do. That can be done. If it's a nice day, we can do it outside in the sun.
The only addition that this one's having, as opposed to the yellow one that we got from Jersey, is it's got a DC boost gauge.
Yeah.
Which we'll show you when we get it. That's the difference really. Apart from that, well, apart from that, it's a manual, automatic's a bit more involved.
It's just really tight. One of the pipes that comes up goes up in front of the gearbox. There's a plug here on the gearbox control. And it's really tight with that. You've got to really wiggle the pipe around and line it up perfectly for it to clear.
So we have a solution for that, don't we, Mike?
Yeah, we do. We've modified the kit a little bit. So this is the hard charge pipe that runs up there. So once I've got the intercooler mounted, I can mock it up and then I'll mark it. And what we do is cut this pipe, re-flare the ends to keep the hose on, and then we just use another piece of boost pipe just to sleeve it and join it, and it just allows us to sort of twist. The bottom needs to twist that way a little bit to make it a bit easier to get on. If the plug isn't there, it falls on fine, but because of the plug, it sits the pipe at a funny angle and you could just do a twist in it. So
yeah, exactly, you can't have it rubbing against
the plug and the wiring and stuff. So yeah, we just cut that, re-flare each side so the pipe stays on because there's quite a lot of boost pressure in there, and it just allows us to twist it. It's probably only like 15 degrees, something like that. It's not very much, but it just makes it fit so much better.
The next phase, as you can see, we've made quite good progress. So Mike's been hard at work getting it all together. So yeah, you can tell you what's what.
Yeah, so we're all done now, hardware wise. Intercooler's all mounted. all the pipe work's on. Yeah, it's just a bit of jiggling around, getting it to fit. It's all quite tight, there's not loads of room, but it does go in there. Crossover's all on now with the cone filter. All the Steinbauer's in and fitted. It's wired up, so it's working. I've got to tidy it up later, but that'll be done with when we run all the MEF wiring in and stuff like that. So that can all be done as one.
Yeah, so the Steinbauer, we just connect that up. You've got to run it with the box connected, and then we'll, like Mike said, we'll tidy all that up and nice little sticker on top of it later.
You're stuck a little bit because obviously the injectors are all mounted in under this cover, so that cover needs to come off to plug them in, and to get that off you need all this pipe work off, which is what we've just fitted. So you've sort of got to do both at the same time, hand in hand. You can't do one and then the other, and once you've plugged them into the injectors, you've got to finish it and get it all wired so it works properly, because obviously it's not original wiring. But other than that, it's all good.
Yeah, just a bit of faffing around in it with regards to what we found out about the original pipe work that was originally designed on my van many moons ago. So a lot of it's been
it was developed for a manual, that's the thing.
It's been changed a little bit, yeah, it's done for a manual, and autos are a bit different. Like we said, that pipe, Laura went and picked that up this morning, so Mike's, that's been cut, and gives you more adjustment, Mike, doesn't it?
Yeah, it shortens it by about 1.5 inches, and you sort of get that 30-degree rotation on it, so that just allows it to go on a little bit easier. If you haven't got an auto box, there's a lot more room for the pipe to run into, but we need to just shorten it a little bit because there's a control unit on the front of the automatic gearbox that it fouls on, and you can't have it rubbing on wires. So,
but it'd be nice when it's done. I mean, well, like you say, you can see the white logo on the black, which goes with the van. The intercooler's huge, and the small ones over there, which we already showed you. There's no comparison.
2.5, 3 times the size of the original one.
Yeah, so that gives you an idea. Work out for yourself with the volume of air that's going to be going through instead of that little small one. And the volume of air across quite even compared to the ITG.
Yeah.
One before.
The ITG one sounds alright, but this sounds mega.
It's really, really good now. It looks cool as well. It's got a lot neater in it, I think. Yeah, good job. So we'll talk to you about it more once Mike gets involved with the MEF side of it and running the lines in, and you'll see what.
Yeah, we're sort of stuck a little bit, aren't we? Because it's Friday and we need the ramp free over the weekend. Yeah. So it'll be off and then back on again on Monday. And then it's rip all the interior out, or rip the dashboard out, run all the wiring in, mount the controller, mount the tank, run all the pipes in.
Yeah, it's a good, you'll be on that for a good day.
Yeah.
A lot of attention to detail. You might think, this will be, every application is different like this, so this will be different than the others because
it's got that single seat.
Yeah, it's all like bespoke to the vehicle we're doing it on, really, isn't it? So
yeah, there's always something seems to be a little bit different, like a sensor's mounted different or something when you're trying to run the wires in and stuff. But
so now it's bumper on, isn't it?
Bumper on. Get that squared away, and
boot them out, yeah.
It's Friday afternoon, so
let's do it.
Let's get it done.
Yeah, that's it. Nothing more to say really. We'll update you as we go. So we'll catch you very soon, guys and girls. Young Michael here. We find out progress on the MSRT Transit that we've been doing. But as you know, this came in. It already had just a quick brief outline. Come in with the ITG filter, moisture on the top of the line, on the top basically, where the rocker cover is. That was it really. Didn't have any power enhancements on it. So he's gone to the full cooler package, Steinbauer, and the MEF injection as per. On the yellow one from Jersey changes. So let's enough about that. Let's see what Mike's been up to, and then we can explain. Good, bumper's back on. We're gonna start, isn't it?
Yeah, looks a bit more back together, doesn't it?
the logo. You got the sensor in the middle. But yeah, that's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, looks good.
Over to you, because they can hear you better than me.
Need to listen to the important people, don't they?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right, yeah, so when you left us last, I think all the intercooler and stuff was on. I don't think the bumper was on. That's obviously on. Everything's rigged up now. Steinbauer's running, connected. All the wiring's done. There's one little wire inside to just route. It's connected. I've just got to make it look pretty. Then out here, we've got MEF stuff. So it's not a massive amount under the bonnet to run in, to be honest. We've got a boost pipe that runs in,
That's the
silicon one for the boost sensor, for the trigger, for the MEF. That gets mounted up behind the glove box because it's an adjustable boost sensor. And obviously we don't want people to adjust that because it'll play havoc. Got our MEF line, that's a non-return valve that runs, that comes out from behind the glove box, from the tank. We'll show you where that's mounted in a minute. And then we have, that's as far as we got really.
Yeah, to fail-safe, isn't it?
To our fail-safe, yeah. So our next job is now put a small piece of pipe off the fail-safe, rig up the injector, make sure that the injector's got a decent spray pattern and is working correctly. We've got a trigger that comes built into the MEF system, so you can just press a button and it activates for bleeding the system and testing it. So we'll be using that. And then we'll get a positive boost pump and connect it to the pressure switch that's in behind the glove box. And we set it up to about somewhere between 15 and 20 PSI, somewhere we're happy where it's spraying. And then obviously we have to take it out and drive it and tweak that, because if it comes in too early with too little boost, you get like an over-fueling knock, which we obviously don't want. So we try and go as close to that as we can, but obviously err on the side of caution a little bit. But the switch tends to be really sensitive. So like,
as we found out last time.
Yeah, if you looked at it like a clock, sort of 1 second is like quite a lot. It's like 3 PSI boost. So it's quite sensitive. You haven't got to move it very much to make quite a big difference. So it takes 2 of us to go out and set that up. One driving, do like a bit of a run, get it to cut in, obviously listening to the engine, see what it's doing. We tend to knock it, wind it back and back and back as close as we can. And then as soon as we get any sort of, like almost like an overfueling knock, we just tighten it up a little bit so it's not.
We got an accurate, we got the Stax boost gauge.
Yeah, we got a boost gauge so we can see what it's running at. I'm pretty sure the yellow one we done in the previous video was, I think it was like 19 PSI. But again, this one's going to be different because that had done like 3,000 miles. Or, no, it was less than that one. It's
1,500.
Yeah, so that's obviously a really tight engine. It's going to be fueling totally different. This one's on like 43,000, I believe. So it's going to react totally different.
He's nicely bedded in this one.
Yeah, so it's definitely running. It's much better.
I mean, you're going to be rigging up a Digi boost gauge for him as well, aren't you?
Yeah, we got that to go in.
We can use that. That'll give us an idea. But like Mike said, accuracy. We need the mechanical Stax one.
Yeah, 100%. So the digital one that we're going to mount for the customer that he's requested, that'll run off the same boost line that runs the trigger for the MEF. There'll be a T-piece in it, and it'll run again through the dash, and then it'll come up, and then we're going to mount it somewhere around the steering wheel so it's visible to the driver, so we can see what's going on. And because we'll have that, we'll have 2 ways of measuring the boost. We'll have the digital one running, and we'll have the Stax mechanical gauge with needle. So we can just, it's not massively important to know what the boost is. It's more we listen to the engine and it tells us what it's doing. But it's nice to know where we are.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't want it triggering at 25 PSI boost because it's
a bit late.
It's too late. There's something not quite right there.
The MEF needs to be activated, so it's doing a job basically. You don't want it in too early, you don't want it in too late. So
yeah, it's getting that window, and then it will keep going right through the rev range until you shut the throttle off to change gear, and then that will cut the MEF. And obviously when you accelerate again, as soon as it sees 15, 17, 18, 20 PSI, whatever we set it to. As soon as it sees that, it will reactivate the MEF again.
Yeah. So that's the bit of a outline on the bonnet there, so we can have a quick gander inside, can't we?
Yeah, let's go and have a look inside.
I think, Mike can explain what he's done on where the tank is. That's quite interesting.
Yeah, it's different again to the yellow one because we got the single seat in this one, where in the yellow one we had the twin seat, which it was a bit of a pain to get in. Yeah, it's much easier to set up, it's much easier to plumb in and stuff because the base of the seat's on like a hinge and it flips up. This one, the seat, once you've got the tank in, and I didn't really want to take the seat right out, once the tank's in, you can't really easily get in there to work on it, but we've done it. We've had to modify a piece of trim at the back to get the tank to sit where we want it, to make filling it as easy as possible. If we didn't modify the trim, the filler for the tank is sort of right under the base of the seat, and obviously
this is all things, isn't it? Where
yeah,
different than you come up with an idea and think, how can we do that? Oh, that needs to be trimmed, or we'll use a specific filler jug with a long extendable neck to get the meth in there, so you ain't got to mess around with the seat side of it. All you've got to do is slide the seat fully forward. And then
yeah, it's pretty cool as well. There's sort of well, I'll show you when we're in there. It's pretty hidden until you need to fill it, and then it's a couple little clips, move something out the way, and away you go. It's pretty good actually. But let's go and have a look at that, shall we?
So as you see, we're slide forward. Yeah, so don't forget the seat's not fully secured down. We haven't finished it yet, so no, it's not secure yet. But there we are, look, see?
So there's your filler. That tank's mounted in its position. I think it's perfectly acceptable to fill it there, like Martin said, with a jug with a nozzle on it. Shouldn't be too much of a problem. And then when you're not filling it, again, you can pull this back out, and that clips in there, and then there's just a piece of trim that just clips on over that. That's literally just spring loaded, and hides it all away really, so you can't actually see it. And all of this is going to help hide the. It's not loud, is it? But it's a slight noise from the pump.
We got the low level sensor there, and
yeah, low levels there. Obviously, the pickup from the tanks there, that runs underneath to the pump that's mounted in the bottom of the tank. And then I will slide that one back again, and if we tip the seat back there, you can see in there.
Yeah, see that? So you can see now that
all of the plumbing.
What I was talking about with the plumbing and the MEF and the wiring, etc. And then the glove box is out, obviously, because all that's got to be. There's the boost pressure switch.
Boost pressure switch. That's our T-piece to put in our gauge to set it up, and then we'll be able to rig the retrofit gauge for the Digi one for the customer that wants it mounted by the steering wheel.
Yeah.
All the wiring's in, pretty well hidden. You won't know any of it's there. It's all taped. It's as good as it can be, I think. So
it's pretty much like the yellow one that we did,
except for the seats scenario.
Which is I mean, it's another challenge, Mike, isn't it? It's not
yeah.
You don't, if it was all the same, it'd be not say it become boring. Of course, it's not boring. None of it's boring, but it would just
no, not till we do number 15. Then it's a bit.
But
it's nice to now we know we can do twin seat, tanks hidden under the seat, the single seat, tanks still be under the seat. It's a little bit different, but it can still go under there, and then it's all hidden out the way because the size of the tank that customer's gone for won't fit between the seats and the handbrakes in the way.
So plus, if you did, I mean, things move on and evolve. And in my van, I've got the 2.25 gallon one in between the seats. It's all right, but we've now sampled with that. I mean, later, when I get a chance or whatever, then I'll probably do the same thing. Put a 3 gallon race tank under my passenger seat. It's a lot neater, but mine still was the original prototype one. Tester, yeah.
But yeah,
it's all good, isn't it?
So yeah, we're pretty much wrapped up now. I've got a bit of pipe work to run in. Like I said, set the injector up, test that, prime it, then put that in the boost pipe, connect the boost feed pipe to the switch to the boost pipe barb, and then just got a couple crimps to do for feed. So constant feed under the bonnet that's direct from the battery, and then there's an ignition activated one in the fuse box.
I'll whiz around the other side and show you the the yellow one that we did. So Mike can talk about it because you'll be able to hear him better.
Yeah, so the display we mount up there, it's sort of hidden away, but it's there if you need to see it. You can by the LEDs that light up on it, you can tell what it's doing and so on and so forth, and you can check if there's a fault, because obviously there'll be a different light sequence and stuff, and there's a low level on that as well that will flash. I think the low level flash is blue, or lights up blue when it's low. It's quite deceiving. The sensor in the tank is sort of mounted, it looks like it's mounted like halfway down the tank, but because there's a baffle in the tank for the pump that the pump sits in, it's not. It's sort of, you get a low level warning when you've used like 2/3 to 3/4.
And plus, it's always good practice to have the low level
way in advance.
Yeah, because if you have it too low, well, what's the point in that? Then you're sucking up air into the line. So you want it, you know, a bit like I've always said it's a bit like a fuel gauge. So the fuel, it doesn't come on when it's empty, does it? It gives you a bit of warning, and you've still got, you know, plenty of fuel in there. Like with this, you'll have plenty of meth in there. It's just giving you a
warning.
A warning to say, look, fill it up. But yeah, so you can see that there's
that's a trigger wire there as well.
Trigger, yeah, the button. Yeah, so this is the button that Mike was talking about. It's pretty cool. This is something new, which we only found on the other one, Mike.
Yeah,
these displays are new. It's only the second display that we fitted, and it comes with a trigger. You don't even get that trigger button with the proper PhoneMath controller.
No, and there's also, like the yellow one, in that pocket where the button's just placed for a minute, is an on-off switch for the whole MEF system. So you can, if your blue light's on and you're miles away from home or you haven't got any MEF, you can deactivate it. So you're not. I think we've learned from the yellow one, the worst thing you can do is let it run out of MEF, because I don't think it will self-prime itself very well. We found it way better to prime it with the button, and then
because with the check valve, you've got to get fluid
to it,
and then after it.
Yeah, I think we had to put with the non-return valve, disconnect it, get the fluid up to it, and then connect it back up, and then it will push through it.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't let the air through it very well. So
once it's all done in prime, that's why you do not want to let it run out of MEF, because you can have all sorts of problems with it.
Air locking and stuff like that. No.
So, Mike hasn't got the mic on, so if he wants to say anything, he's going to have to squeak up, isn't he? Right, so here, he's got the manual pressure plunger, we'll call it, shall we? We actually use it's a Snap-on one, which is off the coolant system pressure tester, so it's ideal. All right, and it's much easier to use than messing around with the one, regulating it off the wall, and you've got an airline, all that sort of nonsense. So this is better. Anyway, right, so Mike's ready to go there.
So yeah, the system's all powered up.
Yeah.
The switch is on.
As you go up, there's your MEF switch, easy illuminate, and it says MEF injection, which is pretty cool. That is saying low level on the display, because it is. We've only put, I don't know, a couple of litres of water in, just distilled water, deionized, whatever you want to call it, just to test it through the nozzle, through the line, and then we can pump all that out, and then we can put the 50/50 MEF.
Up with the good stuff.
We can. So, two ways of doing this. So the first way is on the test switch, but that doesn't really trigger the boost. That's just testing the nozzle and just creating a bit of pressure for you. The way to do it is what Mike's doing now, and set it up on that super sensitive boost pressure switch, which is there, look. Yeah. So we've set it up at 18 PSI, Mike, haven't we?
Yeah.
Something like that. So what I'll do, look, I'll just show you that. I'll go around the front, Mike will pressurize it, and then we'll show you how that works with the nozzle, and then we'll do it the other way with the test button. So, I got the nozzle here. What I'll do is, look, he's gonna do it, and I'll tell him when, and then you'll be able to see it spraying. Yeah, go on, Mike. There you go. So that's Mike manually putting 18 PSI through that to get it to trigger. So that's that side of it. So we know now that is super duper, Mike, don't we?
Yeah.
So now we
know the sensor's set at 18 PSI and the sensor's working.
Yeah.
Because with the test button, that isn't using the pressure sensor.
No.
So we could do it all and make sure everything's clear and it's spraying right. But if the pressure sensor is a faulty one or whatever, and it gives us a chance to set it up, we now know we've got like a base setting to then go out and try it with. Yeah, so now he's going to go make his way around to the driver's side, and now he's going to do it with the test button, which then, like he's just said, is nothing to do with the doing it on the creating pressure on the plunger. So yeah, when you're ready, there you go, look.
So that's the test button from the MEF system, as you can see. So as you can imagine, that is it's a size 4 nozzle that we use in that. And that then is going to go into the boost pipe. Mike's got to put in the boost bar, which is the pickup, because it needs to have something to tell it when to trigger at 18 PSI. So that's got to be, which is there, look, so that's got to be put down onto the boost bar. That'll be in there, and that's got a non-return valve built into the cooler mist ones, which is superb, which means that it's, like I said, non-return. It's not going to go back down the line, is it? And it's controlled.
You've got to use the button inside to get the meth up to this non-return valve.
Yeah.
Because for some reason the air will not go through this. It won't. I don't know if it's not powerful enough to open it.
As we found out, isn't it?
Yeah, but if you disconnect this side, get at the moment we've just got distilled water, but it will be meth. Get the fluid up to here and then connect it back up, then it's strong enough to push it through.
Yeah.
And you're away then.
And then what we'll do then is we'll trigger the meth and the water, the mix together through the nozzle.
Flushing.
Because what you don't want is just, well, you can put water, just have water, distilled water, but you know, that's not what this is designed. Well, we haven't designed it to do that. Some people just run water, but the idea is to run a meth mix, which is water, why it's called water injection, methanol water injection. All right, so that's it. So we got to tidy up the bits. Mike's got bits and pieces to do, but we've done the first test, which is superb. We're happy with that, and now it's just fine tuning now.
Yeah, it's just tidying up all the little bits, and then go on some road tests, just setting it up, fine tuning it until we're happy. And
we'll show you when Mike puts in the Digipod up on the dash. We'll show you that as well, and and then we'll finish up. Right, Mikey, the end approaches. Here we are. We're going to come straight in. There he is.
Here I am.
A little bit hungover this morning.
Fragile today.
He's very fragile. Been out and had a super good time last night, and but fair play to him. Maybe that's a way of getting over it.
Coming to work, yeah, ideal.
And then going out in the van, doing final tuning calibrations on this van.
Being thrown around.
Yeah, you were supposed to be going out in the Golf R. You just put a Regal Stage 2 performance pack on that, but
you had to do that.
He was a passenger today, because obviously that's not what we do, and Mike wouldn't do that anyway.
No,
so,
I value my driving licence too much.
Before, then no. All right, so there we are. Right, so MSRT Transit. You've been following the channel. You would have seen the yellow one previously that we've done, and now this white one that we're doing, and the episodes that we've done. This is the final one. So what we're going to do now, Mike's just going to talk you through, basically just to finish up really. This will be the final
we're all done.
And that's it. So
finished.
Yeah, so
completed.
There we are, isn't it? So
all tested, all set up, goes really, really well actually. Pulls like a train, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's very impressive. So we've done the only other things we've done, Mikey, additions to that was filled up the AdBlue. We've got a crystallizer that we put in there, which is just to explain there, Mike, why we use that and what happens.
So the AdBlue, when it sort of, the tank gets low and stuff like that, when it dries, it obviously the liquid evaporates out of it, but it leaves behind like a
powder, isn't it?
It's almost like, it's like a glassy, fibery powder. It's quite weird, and it blocks stuff. I believe it splits the tanks, which isn't ideal. Blocks the pipes, so it's good to put that in there, and it's almost like a flush, I suppose, and just helps it rinse it.
Stuff's brilliant. I mean, they came up with this idea because of all it's preventative maintenance. Again, the usual thing that we talk about all the time. So you put that in with the AdBlue, and like Mike says, what it does is it prevents crystallization of all the lines.
Because the pipe's quite small. It's only like a brake pipe, sort of couple diameter. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's been done. We put a DPF cleaner in the tank with a diesel injector cleaner, all Forte stuff. That just preventative maintenance again, just keeps everything running smooth, basically.
Yeah, aids the longevity of the vehicle, doesn't it?
Yeah. So under the bonnet here, Mike. So we're all done.
Yeah, obviously we've got a cone filter, new crossover, all our silicone hoses, a few bits and bobs you can just see. Obviously it's all lowered up. Try and position them so you can read them the best you can. And then there's just the bits of meth. You can't really see massive amounts of the meth stuff. We've obviously got our non-return valve.
Down the front, is, as you can see, you can't see the logo, look, that's on the satin black indicator. Look at the size of it, look. So it's full height, right? That's, that might compare to the
Yeah, I reckon
standard
it's
one is like
2 and a bit times the size.
easy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely twice as big if you put the two next to each other. It's twice as high and a bit. It's deeper.
And the flow far more efficient, isn't it?
Oh, night and day. Totally different. Totally different. So that's sort of what helps create all your noise with that crossover and the open cone filter.
It's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's nice. It's sort of when you're driving like up to 30, 40 mile an hour, you can hear it and you can make it do all the noises and stuff.
Yeah,
but then when you're on the motorway, it sort of blends in and sort of goes away. You don't want it droning constantly for hours, do you?
It's got the Max Source sound box on it, so if you turn that off, then you hear that induction even more, which Jay can do.
Yeah, if you like, when you let the throttle off, if you get it just right, you almost get like it's almost like a dump valve-y sort of thing, isn't it? It's quite cool.
The only other thing we haven't done, which is those of you who spotted this, so we have our own blank boxes from Steinbauer. Here, look. Now we haven't put a label on the top of that sticker, and the reason being is because, as you can see, Jay's created all his own stickers, so it's pointless us, Mike, putting on our own sticker
For him to pull off.
for him to pull off and put his own on, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
definitely.
that's why we've left that blank for
Leave that for him.
We'll have a quick gander inside. So we start on the driver's side.
Put a boost gauge up there, which is electronic. So you start it up, comes on. It's a voltage gauge to start with, and I think it's like 45 seconds or 60 seconds, and then it switches from voltage to boost in PSI. There's like a dial that goes around the outside as well as you boost in, and then the number inside.
It's what you wanted it. I mean, that's the one he chose,
Absolutely.
and that's the one we've
managed. It's actually gone on really well, and it's fitted really nicely. That 90% of the wiring for it, I've managed to hide and put in behind trims and stuff. Because obviously we don't want to be drilling holes in the dash to be mounting stuff. So that's got a really strong sticky pad on it. Stick that on, and then you can just see there's a little bit of wire that runs down the side out of the gauge. Yeah, and then it goes into a gap in the dash, and it's away and gone. That obviously runs, so I've extended the pipework from the boost sensor from the MEF and put a T-piece in it. So that is mounted up behind the glove box, which is up in there, so it can't be touched or fiddled with or knocked, and it won't be adjusted. And the pipework just runs through the dash and up to that gauge.
Just to be fair, Mike, what we don't want happening is customers playing around with the boost,
tweaking it and seeing if they can get a bit more out of it and stuff, because
it's quite critical on this, because with regards to how we bring the MEF in, that's why when we talked about final calibrations and fine tuning, that's what we're talking about, because we decide when the MEF comes in with that boost pressure sensor,
and that's hugely sensitive, massive, like 5 psi boost, and it doesn't even feel like you've really moved. That it's got like a slot for a screwdriver. You turn it the smallest amount and it's like 5 psi one way, 5 psi the other. That's why it's
crazy sensitive, isn't it?
That's why it's not a nightmare to set up, it's just really time consuming, and you've got to be really careful. Move it a tiny bit, try it, move it a tiny bit, try it. But it is, obviously on the yellow one, we mounted it first in the pipe, which is a no-no. We didn't realise it was going to be that sensitive. That's why we've moved it in here in the yellow one after, and we've done it from day dot in this one, and it works a lot better. One person can be driving, and you haven't really even got to stop. I can just adjust it a little bit, switch the MEF back on, try it, adjust it, so on and so forth.
But like we said, the other thing which we recommend, and you should do anyway, is let everything get up to operating temperature. You don't want to be flicking the MEF on. There's no point really. Wait for it to get up to operating temperature, then start using it.
100%.
Just banging it on straight away when the engine's cold. You don't need to. It's pointless.
It doesn't. I don't know. Everything for me should be warm before you start. You don't. If you were going on a track, you start your car in the morning. You don't start your car and bounce it off the limiter.
No, exactly.
You drive steady for the first 5 miles, let everything get warm, and then it's like brakes. Yeah. They work much better when they're warm. Nothing's condensating on the
MEF is it's got one of the advantages is it's cooling, so it cools the intake charge. So it's clean. So again, to control heat management. So
Stop.
get it off the temperature first, then start using it. That's the thing.
Yeah, definitely 100% up to temperature.
So there's the hob there, look. So you can see now it's clearly changed, right? So what we do is we start it up, look. And you see it like the whole fixing around goes back, and then it'll probably it'll need to because I've turned the ignition off and back on. It needs to then do its reset. That's the only thing in it. It doesn't revert back. You've got to wait for it then to calibrate itself.
I think it's boost. 45 seconds, I believe, and then it flicks over to boost. Yeah, so you can see a tiny bit of wiring in the front of the seat, but you don't normally have the seat that far back. Sort of when the seat's in its mid position, then you can't see anything. So we managed to get the tank under the seat. We weren't sure it was going to fit, and then just gaining access to it to fill it. It's just that trim comes off, which is meant to be removable, and then that pops out, and your tanks. Pop that in under there. There's your tank. So it's all hidden. Helps hide. It's not massively loud anyway, but there is a bit of a pump running underneath it, so it just helps hide the. And you got that's the main feed, which obviously you know it's there. Yeah. So don't go kicking it or letting anybody. Yeah. Lean on it and put their it's obvious their heels on it or whatever. That's a tapered fitment there. So if someone did stand on it and it sort of undoes it, it's only going to go and touch the floor. Yeah. So it's not even going to go quarter of a turn. So ideally no one stands on it, but if they do, it isn't going to undo it. And again, the customer's just going to have to be aware, because that's the only place it had to go. Like jug, refill it with a 5 litre jug with a spout on it, so we can put. Again, the customer might want to brand that up. You can actually fill that with a 5 litre container, which is what I'm doing. But for ease, and just not someone else doing that, but for the customer, it's nice to have the jug as well when it comes in regards to mixing. It's got obviously measures. It's a measuring jug, so it's got markings on the side, and you can use them to mix your 50-50 mix. We had to rework this. There's a panel on the back of here which I had to modify a little bit, obviously because the tank comes out, that will slope in, so I've just cut out sort of a box out of it, and then a little bit more for the low level sensor. But again, I don't think you'd even notice it's been changed. Well, it's nice and neat, because that's the first one. The yellow one was different. Yeah. It had the bench seat in the front, so you had lots more room underneath. It went further forward, didn't it? I think as well. It was the other way round. No. So in the bench seat, obviously this is wider. You got twice the width, so the tank spins the other way, 90 degrees, and it was. This one was a bit awkward because you got to take the whole of the base out to get the seat up enough to get the tank in. It's a bit fiddly, but once it's in there, and we've got sort of like 15mm clearance between the top of the tank and the bottom of the seat. Just got to work around it. And again, now we know we've done a bench one, we've done a single seat one, we know exactly where the tank's going to go, and it's what took hours to work out how I'm going to do it. Next time you're straight in. Absolutely. So that's that, and then obviously that Mike will show you how that goes back. So we can retain the original seat cover, and then that just clips in like that, and then these literally just clips back on like that. That's made the same the other side, because obviously the battery is underneath the other seat, so that's designed to come on and off like that, so you can get to the battery. And the idea is to keep it as original as we can, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Like, barring that poking out a little bit, you wouldn't even know it's there. So it's good you don't know it's there. Failing that, it would have to go in the back, because this bigger tank won't fit between the seats. No. It's too wide. So that was its only place, or right in the back. But obviously he puts his work stuff in the back, and he doesn't want to be taking up space with his tank and all his bits and bobs. We're all see this odd note working, then we'll give it a few revs, and then we'll listen to it. Yeah, absolutely. See if we can get it to read. You can hear the induction system then. It won't shoot up, obviously, because we're stationary and it's in park, so it won't boost very much at all, but we can get it to move a little bit. So we'll do that, shall we?
You can see it creating a little bit of boost there.
Yeah, a little bit. It only got up to about 6 or 7 psi, but we're in park and we're stationary, so.
So the boost on this maximum is about 30 psi.
Yeah.
On this, so we bring in the methane at about 20, Mike.
Yeah, depending on what revs you're at and what gear you're in.
It changes all the time.
Yeah, it fluctuates between, I think, 17 and 22 psi it comes in. When you're sort of at a lower speed in a lower gear, it comes in a bit lower, 17, 18 psi. When you're up doing 65, 70 mile an hour, it comes in a little bit later because it's not creating as much boost because you're already going that much quicker, so the engine's not working as hard.
And again, with the setting up, with the calibration side of it, also different to a manual, completely different than mine. You know, mine's there, look. Right, it's completely different to the way you set it up because throttle position, and don't forget, the engine is synchronized to the gearbox, so on the airflow, so the change up, the change down, the rev situation's all different to what it is on a manual. So you bear that in mind when you set them up.
You can't control the revs on an auto like you can a manual.
No.
It does it on its own. It changes gear when it needs to and when it wants to.
The other thing which we learned as well with the auto, and which we'll be making the customer aware of, is smooth on the throttle. Because if you slam your foot down, then you're like it's spraying all that methane all in one hit. And obviously with the extra power and torque, you want to smooth it out. It's a nice throttle movement. And
yeah, give the
aggressive then.
Give the gearbox a chance to do its job.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah.
But I think we're all good apart from a quick hoover and a quick little dust off.
Little spruce up and it's ready to go.
And Jay's gonna love it. It's impressive, like, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quick.
Yeah,
it's quick for a van.
It makes all the right sounds. He wanted the boost gauge. I mean, but that's something now that we can offer. It's pretty cool. Haven't driven it at night yet to see what put it up.
No, it's quite bright though, isn't it? To be fair.
And it's just another something else to monitor. It's good because you can monitor it's monitoring the boost. I don't know how accurate it is, but it doesn't matter. It gives you an idea. It's a bit like an electronic gauge, isn't it?
I don't think it's pretty good to be fair. When I had them both rigged up together, that one and the what's the one we used to set it up?
Oh, the Stax one.
Yeah, the Stax one.
The Stax mechanical.
Obviously, you can't watch both of them at the same time, but they were pretty close.
Not too bad.
So.
Happy with that, mate.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Right.
Ready for his collection. So, yeah.
Sorted. Another one done.
Another one bites the dust.
Indeed.
Yeah, I will shout a bit. So you know what to do, guys and girls. So like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, comments down below. We'll try and answer as many as we can. And yeah, hope you enjoyed the little journey of this one. And there'll be plenty more to come. So until the next time, it's bye from me.
Bye from me.
And bye from him.